Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds. Welcome back. This is Ask the Cheeseman, episode 310. That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's lovely to have you here in my studio and watching the cheese stuff. So, lots of things to talk about today, of course. Your questions, number one. However, thank you to all of the financial members, especially Queen Helena. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. And to everybody else on that list there, thank you so much. And of course, all of the patrons, thank you for supporting me and the channel and all the work that I do on a monthly basis. I really appreciate it. In fact, without your help, probably I wouldn't be doing too many videos lately. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Okay, now you would have seen the dry jack cheese video. It's doing quite well. A lot of people have reached out to me and said they've enjoyed it. Where the heck is it? Where's dry jack? Persnickety, thank you so much for that $20 super chat. Appreciate it. Let's just have a look. Where the heck is it? Second monitor. So over here, you can see the dry jack video. It's got 5,000 views so far, and it's doing exceedingly well as far as compared to other videos recently. So people seem to like the unusual sorts of cheese. So I'm very pleased with that. As far as the curd nerd, why has that not gone off? Anyway, I'll do it manually. There we go. Curd nerd lights off. Thank you, Persnickety, for the $20, and let's just get that up there. Testing the shiny flicky. Very nice. Yes, it didn't work, so I'll do it manually. It'll kick off in a minute. You watch, just because it can. But thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Really do. Okay. Okay, so what's the next thing? So the video this week will be indeed the one you've all been waiting for, and that will be the 15 ways with whey. Yes, finally the script is written. I just have to read it out and get my son to edit the video. So that will be this week's video. I'm excited. It's only been like 10 years in the making or something. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Now, for those who aren't members on YouTube, I have a special gift for you. Let's have a look. Can I do it? Yep, there we go. Have a look in the chat now. Those who are able to pick up gifts, you should be able to grab some. So there we go. So there's some memberships now. Members of the channel and patrons as well get early access to all the videos, at least a day, 24 hours before they're released. They also get behind the scenes photographs, special community posts just for members as well. So thank you to everybody who's just picked up a free gift there. Well done. There were 5 on offer, and who just got one? Just Troy, Mayor McCheese, Evan Fitz. Evan, the man who provided me with the Vegemite cheese recipe. Well done, mate. Thank you. Molly and Robin. G'day to all of you people who are there. Congratulations. Persnickety. 15 ways with whey are still a bit away. Yeah. You're funny, man. Funny, man. Righto. So thanks for picking those up. Now, let's say g'day to a few people. First of all was Shauna. Hello, Shauna. Lovely to see you as always. Persnickety in Texas. G'day, mate. Having a chitty chat there for a while. Next person was, good guess. Where is it? I think it was Becky in Cape Town. Well done, Becky. Kathy and Molly and Dale and La Machina and Sadie from Istanbul, staying up late. Welcome. Ovich the Martin, welcome. I just had a quick look at your channel. Who else we got there? I said Dale, David, Davo, Herb, and Charlie. G'day, Charlie. We've got Tracy from Cheese Needs. Welcome, Tracy. Just finished teaching cheddar class. Hope the toe is behaving. It is a bit. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a sec. Jennifer Enns. G'day, Jennifer. Just Troy and Mayor McCheese. And some questions coming in, which is great. And Dale. Hello, Dale. Welcome, everybody. Okay, now there was a question way back from La Machina. Let's do that one. I think that was the first one. How is the enzyme called which is used to prevent late blown? I think that's a translation. So the enzyme to prevent late blowing is called Lysolac, or Lysyme is the real name. It is an enzyme made from egg whites, and it is used in the prevention of late blowing, which is caused sometimes by low acidity in your cheese, or the animals eating silage instead of fresh grass. Silage is fermented grass that is usually fed to animals in the winter. Sometimes it can be passed on through to the milk from cows that eat hay as well in winter. But yes, so that's what it's called. Lysolac is the brand you can get. There are a couple of other things. So there is another one that I use, which is not egg white based. It's lactic bacterial based, called LPRA. It's made by Sacco. There's another one called Holbach LC, which is the same two bacterial strains, which are Lactobacillus lactis plantarum and Lactobacillus lactis rhamnosus are the two bacteria you're kind of looking for. They kind of prevent yeast. They prevent some bacterial infections, so you can add that as a preventative culture is more what it's called. It's also a probiotic. So there you go. So that's hopefully that answered your question. Next question is from where is it? Here it is. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. From Jennifer. And Jennifer said, I made the castle blue 4 weeks ago. I just realised I forgot to salt it. Is it too late? The mould is growing nicely on it. Yes. It is no good. So after 4 weeks, the lactic bacteria plus all other sorts of nasty bacteria like Listeria or Streptococcus. No, that's not the right. No. Yes, maybe one of the strains of Streptococcus, not Thermophilus, will have infected your cheese. Possibly, even botulism could make an appearance, because the lack of salt. The lack of salt will make the environment of the cheese perfect for all these sorts of nasty bacteria. So Jennifer, unfortunately, even though the blue mould is growing on the outside and probably the inside, I would not even touch it, especially if it hasn't been salted, unfortunately. Sorry to break the bad news to you, mate, because it takes a lot of effort to make that cheese, well, any cheese, really. Molly says, any thoughts on why my cottage cheese went off? Sour, slightly metallic after a few days. My milk and cream were both pasteurised. There shouldn't have been any contamination. So metallic taste. It's very interesting. Could be... What has a metallic taste in cheese making? Too much calcium chloride can induce a metallic taste. That's just from experience. Not enough salt could also certainly help with that, especially if it's soured really quickly. Or too much starter culture is another thing that could possibly do that. So, Kathy's got a good question for Molly. Was it an aluminium pot that you made the cottage cheese in? So, because milk reacts with the aluminium. So yeah, that could possibly be it as well. So let us know, Molly. La Machina says, I made the Stilton after your recipe. It's now 1 month old and starts looking great. Yes, Stilton at 1 month looks pretty gnarly. Nice blue mold coating, but you have a look at it after, it ages to 90 days. So it'll look pretty funky after the second month, that's for sure. But yeah, wrap it in foil, and it'll start to that'll dampen down the mold growth on the outside, and you'll just get mold growth on the inside. Foil or micro perforated silver wrap also helps, and yeah, that sort of, you want to keep that mold at bay on the outside. But yeah, it's if it's looking good, that's fantastic. La Machina says, yes, the milk I used are from animals which ate silage a lot. Thank you very much for the answers. There you go. Dale says, Gavin, I made a Swiss and could not control the green mould. Okay. So many Swiss cheeses are coated in Paracoat. And I've noticed, I was watching some commercial videos the other day, and you'll see the outer coating to prevent mold growth. It actually has this inhibitor. It's a PVA coating, and it's got this stuff in it called natmycin, which is a anti-mold additive that they put into this Paracoat wax. And you'll actually see on most Swiss cheeses, the really large wheels, they actually add that to control any kind of molds on the outside of the cheese. There you go. So yes, if you could not control the green mold, the humidity is either too high in the where you're maturing the cheese. That would be a bit of a problem. Usually that sort of mold, once the rind starts to dry out a bit, that sort of mold can be brushed off. In fact, a lot of cheeses, before they're sold, are actually scrubbed with a scrubbing brush and brine to get rid of any mold on the outside of the cheese. So, it's a bit strange that you couldn't control it. There are ways and means to get rid of this sort of stuff. So you could try that, Dale. Titus, welcome to the chat. Ovid the Martin says, what kind of cheese can fit with seafood? I've never tried to match a cheese with seafood, as in pairing. You can, mind you, tuna mornay is a great thing. It is a tuna cooked with a cheesy sauce, and usually for that I'll use something like Gruyere, or even go as far as raclette. Those cheeses make a fantastic tuna mornay. But that's cooking with the cheese. So that's lobster thermidor. There you go. Beautiful, having a nice melty. What kind of cheese would you use for a lobster thermidor? Again, I would think of maybe even Comté, which is a French cheese. It would be quite delicious. There are some suggestions flowing in here. Herb says, any kind of melty goes with seafood. Kathy says, lobster mac and cheese is good with a sharp white cheese. Merrimack cheese says Gruyere. Want to match cheese with sashimi. Okay. And a sashimi being raw fish. You know what? I reckon halloumi. Hear me out. Halloumi, with all its saltiness and squeaky flavour, would be perfect. It's very much akin to looking like tofu when it's cooked. And I think that would be absolutely perfect match for sashimi. So there you go. We solved that one. But yeah, cheese goes with seafood very, very well, regardless of whether it's raw or cooked. Persnickety says, and quite rightly, salt makes a hostile environment for bacteria, and our atmosphere is thick with it. Indeed. That's why you must do the salt. Renee, welcome to the channel. Lovely to see you. Hopefully you've got some questions there you want to throw in there. So, yep, do that. No problems at all. Epsilon81 says, I do not make cheese. I have no interest in making cheese. I have no plans on making cheese. I do not know why I'm subscribed to you, but I don't care. Your content is brilliant and always will be. Thank you, Epsilon. You should try cheese. It's very nice. I like it a lot. That's kind of an understatement, really, isn't it? Oh, goodness me. Mammoth Cheese says he's got the cheese and desist in the brine right now. Very nice indeed. I love a good cheese and desist cheese. It takes me back, you know, to about, when was it? March 2000, just at the start of the pandemic, when the Grana Padano consortium decided to get one of their lawyers to enforce their trademark and asked me to take down my Grana Padano video. Yeah, so it was quite a unique letter, and being a YouTuber, as I kind of am, although I like to be a cheesemaker first, I decided to tell the whole world about this letter, which I did in a video. So if you can go and have a look at, I don't know, I think it's called Cease and Desist or something like that. Never thought it'd happen to me or something like that. Typical YouTube flair, I suppose. Where I explain all about the letter and what I was going to do and all that. Anyway, eventually I did, I took that video down, but the very next day I got after a lot of pushback from a lot of subscribers and members and people on Reddit actually as well. It went off like a frog in a sock on Reddit. There was even legal channels on YouTube did a, is there a precedent for Gavin to take his video down? Which was quite interesting as well. And yeah, the consortium, the president of the consortium apologised to me and said, no, I didn't copy or counterfeit their cheese. It was a very funny time. So anyway, I edited the video, took out the offending bits, and I called it my cheese and desist cheese. So there you go. There's the story behind that. Thank you, Mayor McCheese. Yeah, and, of course, as Persnickety says, hope you submit photos once it's done. Ovid says, especially salmon sashimi. Yep, halloumi. Get some halloumi, fry it up. It'll go perfect with your sashimi. Becky says, Gruyere is often used on top of fish pie, which is my favourite sandwich. Oh, sorry, but my favourite sandwich is tuna melt. Okay, fantastic. Halloumi and crab cakes, says Herb. Yeah, that'd be nice. Have a nice slice, thin slice, really quickly fried with crab. Oh, lovely. Very nice. Molly says, go figure. I have to go for a couple of minutes after asking my questions. I'll try cutting back on the calcium chloride and culture next time. I use good quality stainless steel pots for cheese making. Thank you, Molly. Yeah, hopefully that'll help you out. Mayor McCheese says, anybody else keep Himalayan salt blocks in the fridge seems to be working great for me. Pro tip, buy salt licks for horses, same salt, half the price. Wouldn't that absorb all of the humidity in the fridge as well? Is that what you're trying to do there? H. Wilkins, welcome. I think that you're a first timer on the stream. I have a Parmesan ripening in the box and just noticed green mold starting. Would be wiping with vinegar, but I do leave out at room temperature to dry, or just pack it away, put it back in the box right away. I wouldn't wipe it with vinegar. You're actually going to increase the pH of the cheese. If the rind of the cheese is firm and intact, I would certainly I would brush it off with a dry cloth, any mold that grows on the outside. If the rind is getting really dry, it's probably best to vacuum pack the Parmesan, because the ones we make are so small. They don't. They're not able to hold the moisture for the whole, 10 to 12 months of ripening period. So it's best to do that, and that helps keep mold at bay as well. So after about 1 to 2 months of naturally ripening the Parmesan to let the rind dry out a bit, it is best to vacuum pack or wax those cheeses at the scale that we make them for home cheese makers. But yeah, don't use vinegar unless it's so persistent and you can't brush it off. Usually the environment is good enough for the mold not to grow, especially on a Parmesan. Hope that answers your question. Dan says, hello guys, been busy a few weeks, nice to see everybody here. Thank you, Dan. Nice to see you back as well. Mayor McCheese says, cheeses that get heated as high as Grana Padano, should I bother using raw milk, or am I wasting the raw on that cheese? No, not so. In fact, Grana Padano is made with raw. Is it made with raw milk? Yeah, just like Parmigiano Reggiano is. Both cheeses are made with raw milk anyway. Yes, you are doing close to low temperature long hold. The temperature of the curds get to about 52 degrees Celsius. Maybe it's 48 with Parmigiano Reggiano. But the thermophilic cultures are going to survive, no problems at all, that are in the raw milk. So no, you're not wasting your time using raw milk. In fact, for many years here in Australia and New Zealand, the food safety standard stated that any cheese made with raw milk had to be cooked to at least 48 degrees Celsius, the curds, and it had to be aged for 10 months at 10 degrees Celsius. And that was the conditions where artisan cheesemakers here in this country and New Zealand could make cheese with raw milk. So no, you're not wasting your time. And there's been some fantastic cheeses, raw milk cheeses made in that style by Bruny Island Dairy down in Tasmania. I think they call it, C1 or something like that. I'm not sure. That's their brand. So Bruny Island Cheese do make raw milk cheese using those styles, or even in Romano if they're using full cream milk. So there you go. Mayor McCheese has amplified on why he uses salt in his fridge. He says, I see no signs of corrosion, and the only molds growing are the ones I want, and those that don't seem to be hindered by the salt in the fridge. It's very interesting. Dale says, I'm not really a sweet cheese person, but have recently tried a fig and honey cheddar. It was very pleasantly surprised. Can you suggest another pairing in the cheddar style that would work? I'm just trying to think. With those cheeses that have those sweet things added to them, it's usually they're usually processed after the fact of maturation. So they're a little bit deceptive. You'll see that the cheese has those additives because usually honey and figs would ferment in the cheese during aging. So what they do is they tend to break up the cheddar. In a factory, they shred it all after it's cooked. After it's matured. They add the honey and the fig to the curds, and then they repress it. So that's kind of what they're doing. As far as sweet things in cheddar, you really do have to be careful when you add additives to cheese. They have to be sanitized in a way that any yeast or bacteria can't survive. So what I do when I'm using herbs or anything like that, I basically, if there's something that I can boil, I'll boil them and then simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. That kills anything on the outside, like peppercorns or chili or what have you. Any sort of seeds, like caraway or cumin, definitely make sure they're boiled. And any herbs that are a little bit more gentler, then just put them on the oven tray and heat them for about 10 minutes at 120 degrees Celsius. And that will kill any molds or yeasts that are on the outside that could contaminate your cheese. So it's very tricky to put things into cheese. But like I said, a lot of these cheddars that have all these sweet things in them are processed and then combined after the cheese is matured. So I hope that helps. A lot of stuff going on in the chat here. I better catch up. What time we got? We got 4 minutes before the gallery, which I forgot to mention at the start. MH Hawaii, Hawaii. Sorry, not Hawaii. Sorry, mate. Twice I held a pairing cheese with sea products, not sashimi though. The guest loved tome and roquefort paired with squid. Very interesting. Might have to try that. Dan says the cotton and blue cheese came out well, by the way, but I think it needs to be made in a larger batch as it was a very strong blue. Any thoughts on the effects of size on the blue flavour development? Let me think. Of all the blues I've made, what's the smallest? So the smallest one that I've made, Dan, is the petite blue. Funny about that. That's the name. It was a very small round. It was about the size of a camembert. I used the Mad Millie Blue Culture blend that we buy and I use in the store. And it went gooey all the way throughout. So, like, I've never seen blue cheese that gooey and hardly any veining in the middle. So the smaller, and that happened after 30 days. So, yeah, the larger the cheese will, the less gooey it's going to get and the less strong it's going to get. But I tell you what, those petite blues just are fabulous. And I've had so many reports back from curd nerds that have made it and they just absolutely love that cheese. So the smaller the cheese, the faster it's going to mature with Penicillium roqueforti. The larger the cheese, the slower it matures, and the proteins don't break down as fast from the action of the mold. There you go. So yeah, make a larger wheel and it'll probably turn out a lot milder. Also, ease off on the Penicillium roqueforti. You really only need was it about 1/32 of a teaspoon in 10 litres of milk. That's what I use, and I get a nice even tasting blue cheese. Sean, hello Sean, first time on the stream, not sure, but what's your opinion on vacuum packing cheddar, ripening X weeks, then vacuum packing, trying to avoid cloth or wax? Yes, definitely, you can. Any stir curd cheddar that I make now, definitely I vacuum pack it. Cloth and cloth banding a cheese does add a certain flavour to the cheese. All those funky moulds that grow on the outside of the cheese certainly add something to it. Even though the moulds don't go through the cloth, through the lard, all that sort of stuff. Waxing, sometimes if you wax a cheese and mature it for a long time, sometimes there can be staining on the rind. Vacuum packing kind of sorts all that out, and you don't even have to worry about the humidity in your cheese cave. But yeah, definitely, I use vacuum packing for just about every cheese now. So, okay, it's time for the gallery. Thank you for your question, Sean. There are so many questions in there, and we will get to them. And g'day, Jeff. Welcome back, mate. So, hang on, let me bring the gallery up. I'll do it justice. This is the last photo, not the first. We've got a special one here. Let's have a look. Okay, so the gallery is brought to you, the curd nerds who send me in photos. This one is from Cup of Tea Love. And Cup of Tea Love says, hi Gavin, made a wedding cheesecake. From top to bottom, the first one is a mustard and ale. Very nice. Jarlsberg is the second cheese on the stack. So that one there. The third one is a Caerphilly. The next one after that is a Bel Paese. And then at the bottom is a store-bought Brie, very large one. He says, I wasn't brave enough to make a mould ripened cheese to serve to guests. It made for a great spread. I think people enjoyed trying some things they have never had before. Could never have done it without your videos. Proud as punch. Cuppa. Thank you, Cuppa. And that absolutely looks amazing. It's a stunning looking wedding cheese tower. There's the... What's that? That'll be the Jarlsberg, I reckon. That's the Bel Paese. And the mustard and ale cheese. Very nice. Is there any more? Oh, and the Caerphilly, of course. So, fantastic that you've taken it apart and put little flags on it so people know what they are. It's really good because people rarely go outside of their cheese boundary. They go outside the square for cheese. They tend to find a cheese that they like, but it's really good that people would have never have heard of some of these cheeses, and you've introduced so many people, especially at a wedding. There's usually guests everywhere. So many people to new different cheeses. So that is amazing. Well done, Cuppa. The next one is from Michael and Jenny. Michael and Jenny, who are in the chat today, says, hi Gavin, we ventured out and made our first ever blue cheese, a Castle Blue. It's a good one to start with, that's for sure. We opened up the first one at 6 weeks. It was creamy with delightful, mild, delicate blue taste. We were quite happy with the blue veining we got. The middle has still had a firm paste, so we'll leave the other two to mature for an all-over creamy texture. Looking forward to that. And that's a lovely looking spread there. And there is the centre of the cheese. I forgot to say that we're away in a caravan at the moment for the Adelaide Cup long weekend and enjoying our cheese. So we're sending an extra photo of our Castle Blue after opening it up, opening up the second half of it. Thanks again for all the help and advice, Jenny and Michael. Thank you, Jenny and Michael. That looks lovely. And yeah, that is a great looking Castle Blue. You've got a little bit of veining in there, which is good. But yeah, the texture certainly looks good and a lovely blue coating on the outside. Nice cracker too, by the way. There you go. So, well done to Michael and Jenny over in Adelaide. The next cheese is from Rich. And Rich sent this to me. He says, I've been dabbling in cheese for a few years now, but it takes so much time that I really only can make a few pounds a year. I made my 5th cheddar, and each has had the same problem. The outer curds on the sides are still visible. I think the curds are not firm enough when I cut them, even though I calculate them using the flocculation method. As a result, the curds look like cottage cheese, even when I start to raise the temperature. This has made waxing a challenge, since there is not a uniform surface. Is there any reason not to trim the outer surface to make it flat? Thanks for the help you can offer. Here are the two photos, one before flipping and one after. You can see that the cheese dries, the curds continue to separate further. My experience with waxing cheese with cracks and crevices is that they get mouldy inside the wax. I would really like to salvage this cheese if possible, but that may not be possible. So, first off, curds are too dry. You've stirred too long. The curd cut, like you said, may not have been very good, and it could be the milk quality. If you're using pasteurised homogenised milk, that tends to have a very sloppy curd set. The cheese is not only, the curds are not only dry, but there's not enough pressure to on the cheese when you're pressing it to consolidate the rind to make it smooth all over. You know, even though that when I make cheddar like this, using the cheddaring process and cut it into large fingers, if I think the curds are too dry, I will cut the fingers before salting a lot smaller, and they tend to consolidate a lot easier when you're pressing them. So you're going to need, I think you said in another email that you pressed it at like 50 pounds of pressure, which is 22 kilos. For this cheese, I would recommend even more. You need to consolidate that. If you cut the, just the rind off, all you're going to get is the same thing happening because the curds are too dry all the way through. So there's some solutions. Stir less if you get a sloppy curd set. The fingers of cheese, before you salt them and press them, cut them a lot smaller, or cut them very finely, and they should consolidate a lot better. More pressure when pressing. If you get a cheese like this out of the press it longer. Press it for another 24 hours and press it with more weight. And consolidate that rind. It's the only way you're going to save it. I don't know how long, this question was, about a week ago, so I don't know what Rich has done. He hasn't come back and said anything, so hopefully he saved it. There's one more photo, and that's the other side. Starting to dry out, so it'd be very hard to press this cheese now. So anyway, sorry about that, Rich. That's what you got to do to get this cheese to be in a good condition so you can you can save it. However, there is one way you can possibly save it, is to vacuum pack it. Honestly, it takes away a lot of sins in cheese making. If you vacuum pack the cheese, the curd's going to consolidate together because of the pressure from vacuum packing. So that is a good way to do it. But yeah, and another way to consolidate the curds like this, if you get something bad like this, is to press the cheese under warm whey. I don't know if your press would fit into a big pot of whey, but you can do that, and a lot of cheesemakers do that to fix this issue up, is press the cheese under warm whey for another, say, 24 hours, and it will consolidate together, and you'll get a good knit for the curds. So that is the gallery, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to everybody who sent in their photos. How do you send photos to Gav is the next question you probably have. It's very easy. You go to the channel page, and they've made it even easier, but a little bit trickier. Where it says here, do you want to become a curd nerd? Love eating cheese and can't get enough. That's what I've written there. And there's this little arrowy thing here. You click on that and you get this pop-up. And down there, down in channel details, it says view email address. So that's the email address where you can send me your photographs of your successes or any cheese that you're having issues with, and send me a detailed note on what the heck went wrong, or what you think may have happened, and the steps it took to get there. And I can diagnose it just like a doctor, cheese doctor, over the phone. But yeah, so that's where you send all of your photos to that email address. Excellent. Okay. Now, we've got lots and lots of questions as well. More coming through. Anthony, welcome. G'day, mate. How are you? Epsilon81 says, I don't know if this question will be some kind of sin, but is there any kind of cheese that you simply just do not think tastes good with anything? Yeah, I would say there's one cheese that stands out. It's Sardinian cheese called Casu Marzu. The one that everybody sees that has maggots in it, fly maggots. Lovely. That cheese probably wouldn't go with anything. In fact, I wouldn't even eat it. So, in fact, it's illegal to sell it. So, yeah. there you go. Oh, goodness me. Question from Jeff says, hi all, making your castle blue 2 weeks ago had a rennet fail. Fail caused by overculture for an hour. Will this cause any issues? Looks okay at the moment. Jeff, I think your cheese will be okay. If it took longer to coagulate, that is sometimes normal. I've certainly had it before and just had to wait. Some recipes where it says add a really tiny amount of rennet to the cheese, then yeah, I just wait until the curd sets. And the curd nerd light is finally going off. Looks like we got a super chat there somewhere. Where is that? That's from Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. I'd love to see you. It says, hi, had issues with Google. Don't we all? But am here at last. Thank you, Patricia. And thank you for the $2 Canadian. Every little bit helps. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay, back to some more questions. We've got time. I don't even know if I'm going to get to all of them. If you've got a burning question and you really want it answered in the next 20 minutes, then a super chat is probably the way to go. I'll get to that first. All right, Becky has a question. It's a part one-er and a two-er and part 1 and 2. Here we go. Becky says, speaking of brushing moulds off, I saw a video on a commercial operation where they took the wheel off the shelf and brushed it right there in the aisle. Yeah, I've seen that. I would think the mould would just easily float in the air to the rest of the cheeses. Probably is there it probably is too much work to take it somewhere else. What do you think? I think that's standard practice. If you have a look at I've seen many Parmigiano Reggiano videos, and a robot does it all for them, and it takes the cheese off the shelf and they stack them so high. The robot takes the cheese off the shelf, flips it over, brushes it with these little brushes, any moulds would go into the air, I dare say. But it brushes all the moulds off the cheese, and people do that manually as well. Artisan cheesemakers have been doing that for many years. But would the mould spores go into the air? Yeah, probably. Would they infect any other cheeses? Not sure. Depends on how firm the rind is. But I think it'd be a bit too much effort to take it out of the cheese cave. Every single, some of these cheeses are like 40 kilograms heavy. It'd be a little bit too much trouble. I think that's just what they do. But it's a good observation. I like that, Becky. Mayor McShee says, I'm using grass-fed, pasture-raised Holstein A2 milk I get direct from the farm in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, USA. I think it'll be pretty good milk then. Persnickety says, yeah, when making pepper jack, I boil the diced peppers for 30 minutes, starting the clock after the rolling boil is achieved. Yep, perfect. Best way to do that. Cheese 52, Lisa has a good video on preparing stuff to add to cheese. Yep, she does. Yes, I've seen that. And it's all based on science too, by the way. And here's a plug for Lisa because I like her. Where is it? There's Lisa's book, Confident Cheese Making. Lovely lady. She's Canadian originally, moved to the US. Go and check out her book if you haven't already seen it. Have a look in the description of this video and you'll see a link to my Amazon page. And you can pick it up at Amazon. It was a little bit expensive to get it here. It's self-published. So, a great book. And you'll learn a lot. There's a lot about sanitisation and hygiene in that book. Worth getting it. Okay. Dan says, that's interesting. Thanks, Gav. I reckon I'll dial down the Penicillium Roque 40 next time and go for a bigger cheese. Frizz Cotton and Blue. Yep, perfect. Herb was excited about gallery time. Thanks, Herb. I was too. Persnickety says, I'll have a few things for the gallery next week. Please do. Send them in, mate. I'd love it. Where are we? Next question is from... Yeah, where the heck is it? Lots of comments about all the other cheeses. Mayor McCheese says, Castle Blues have been a hit for me. Huge hit for me. Yep, they are great. I love them. Herb says, I think I need a larger sous vide as well. Yeah, there are larger wattage ones, Herb. If you have a look at the Inkbird brand, which are, I think, some of the cheapest ones, they do have there's a 100 watts and a 200 watt version, which would heat faster and bigger volumes of water. Epsilon says, I think I'm going to start making cheese soon. I do not know why, but I feel like I have to after watching this. I tell you what, this is where all the curd nerds gather, Epsilon. You're going to have to give it a go. Even if it's something as simple as, you know, whole milk ricotta or white cheese. You know, yesterday, I was ferreting around in my kitchen fridge and I stumbled across the Domiati, the Egyptian cheese that I made. And I'll tell you what, in its brine, it wasn't slimy on the outside. It's been sitting there for about, I don't know, when did I make the Domiati video? Let's have a look at that. See if we can find it. Here we go. Search. We can search. On the channel page, you can search for just about anything. 3 months ago. So it's 3 months old, this cheese. Very, very nice. And it's Egyptian cheese made from buffalo milk or cow's milk. I use buffalo milk. And it was a delightful cheese. Very salty, because it stays in this quite a strong brine for the whole time. And I tell you what, it was fantastic. I had some slices of homegrown heirloom tomatoes that I've been growing in my other part of my veggie patch. And some slices of, you know, probably 1/2 centimetre thick slices of Domiati, and put that in a sandwich, and just added some pepper on top of the cracked black pepper on top of the tomatoes, and it was delightful, beautiful cheese. So that Domiati, if you haven't already made it, that really stands the test of time. Such a great cheese. Anyway, is that a cheese rant? Yeah. Anyway, they're lovely. Come on, make Domiati. It's really a good cheese. Let's have a look. There's another question here somewhere. Lots of chat going on. Yeah. Mayor McCheese says, a sous vide is the only way I make cheese now. I'm a slave to it at this point. Sous vide, or the precision cooker as the tool is known, sous vide is the process of cooking food in hot water. Yeah, precision cooker, same here. I would never make cheese now without using the precision cooker, unless it's one of those quick fresh cheeses that you can just heat the milk on the stove, any heat source, without too much trouble. But yeah, I swear by using the precision cooker now. So much so that I actually had to buy a second one because the first one by Anova had this really high pitch whine that my dog Hamish the Westie, shout out to Hamish and Bonnie the Westies on YouTube, Hamish the Westie really got irritated by and showed all signs of distress in a dog, and that's horrible. So I actually went and bought the Inkbird version, not the Anova, and it doesn't make a high-pitched whine. He doesn't get distressed when I make cheese. So, you know, you're making cheese for most of the day, so you're going to get one that doesn't have this high-pitched squeal to it. So maybe it was just mine. Who knows? Let's have a look. Next question is from... where the heck is it? McCheese says, using a sous vide is almost a cheat code, but I've discovered that I discovered a 2-probe thermometer that is useful checking the water temperature as well as the milk. I don't trust what the sous vide says. Yeah, look, I just test the milk. I don't worry about the water temperature. But the sous vide, my one, the Inkbird, the version that I use, I think it's 100 watts. It is, I set the sous vide temperature to 1 degree Celsius higher than what I want the milk to be because of heat loss from the stainless steel sink that I'm using. So that works. Okay, next question. Anthony says, Doctor, my cheese seems to have a bacterial infection. Yeah, that's, yeah, anyway, I'll move along from that one. Man McCheese says, what's the best blue cheese to make that calls for heavy cream? I need to skim milk, so I'll have extra cream. Stilton is a good contender. Gorgonzola has a little bit of extra cream as well. So you could try both of those. Really nice blue cheeses. Stilton tends to be a bit drier, especially when we get it from the UK because it's travelled so far to Australia. However, the Stiltons I make are a lot richer and creamier. Just check out my Stilton recipe. You'll have no issues whatsoever. The more recent one is better than the very early Stilton recipe. But yeah, go and check that out. Titus says, I love cheeses and cheeses loves me. Yes. Yeah. Me too. Indonesia is having issues with online international orders. Each time it should be at least $500 to be imported. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but if it's stuff from us, as in Little Green Workshops, our store, this one, no, there's no, as far as I know, there's no import problems. We've sent stuff to Indonesia before, to Jakarta, and had no problems with customs. Tends to be a little bit slow, so send it via express post, and you shouldn't have too many problems if you're going to do that. Next question, and we've got 8 minutes to go. Titus says, I made mozzarella last night using the vinegar method, or citric acid. Yes, nice, that works. Next question is from Pink Floyd, the band. How long would you recommend aiming for Parmesan? Using a 165 basket, 10 litres of milk, plan to vacuum pack after 3 months. How would you recommend aim? Is that like, how long would you mature your Parmesan? Is that what you're saying? Minimum 10 months, totally. Especially 10 litres of milk. Yeah, definitely vacuum pack it after 3 months. In fact, check to see how hard the rind is first. Depend on the humidity you've got, the area that you're maturing your cheese, then yeah, I would definitely recommend checking it 2 months before. Make sure the rind doesn't dry out too much. If you start getting cracks in the rind, then goodness me, put it into vacuum packing straight away and preserve a little bit of that moisture back into the cheese by not letting it evaporate. But yeah, minimum 10 months definitely for Parmigiano Reggiano style cheese is good. Aging, not aiming. Yeah, there you go. I got the gist of it. Next question is from, oh goodness me. Anthony says, I'm about to dig into a container of epoisse tonight. I wish I knew how to make it. I actually have a recipe. So maybe it's very stinky cheese. It's one of the stinkiest in the world, apparently. Let me just bump that up the list for you, Anthony, because I like you. We'll see if we can get that one made. I don't know if it'll be the same as the real deal because they don't import it to Australia from France. So difficult to get epoisse. So yeah, anyway, I'll put that up there. Persnicky said, Inkbird. I had an overfail today, had spares, but we'll look into the Inkbird for the next ones. Yeah, they're like half the price, Persnickety, for cheese making. Next, Mayor McShee says, I find with my precision cooker I need to overshoot the temperature by 20 degrees, then dial it back when the water temperature gets close. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just let it sit in the sink with the pot and let it do its thing. Walk away for 20 minutes, come back, and it's usually about the right temperature. So, David says, do you use the sous vide directly in the milk or heat the pot around it? No, never put it in the milk. Just put it in a water bath. So put your pot in a water bath, heat the water. Never heat the milk. It'll just burn out the element of the sous vide and contaminate the milk anyway, because you don't know how, it's very hard to clean the internal workings and the impeller and the heating element of a sous vide anyway. Never add it to the milk. Okay. Anthony has sent me a super chat. Thank you, Anthony. Epoire Research Fund contribution. Thank you, mate. I actually dug the recipe off of one of the very old cheese forums that are still around on the internet. Nobody's actually using them much anyway. But yeah, I found this recipe. So look, fingers crossed it'll work. Whether it does or doesn't, I'll make a video on it. So people can, if they want to see if they can improve it, they can. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll work the first time. So I'll bump that up. Thank you for the $20 US, Anthony. I really appreciate it. Next question is from Epsilon. Says, my cheese knowledge is very limited. Would I be correct in assuming that hard cheese has mold and soft cheese does not, or is it the other way around? No. I think you need to get yourself a cheese book like my one, Keep Calm and Make Cheese, and then you'll learn a lot about cheese. It's very cheap. Hang on, I'll show you where it is so you can grab it. I'm a nice man. Where is it? You can buy it here. There's a digital version. Here we go. So go to there, and it's actually, no, that's the wrong link. Don't use that. If you want that link, that's fine. You can go and check out all my courses as well. Here is the link to the first book. There's a second one with more recipes. It's Keep Calm and Make Cheese. Let me just show you my product page. It's so nice. Keep Calm and Make Cheese. It's my original cheese making book. That's what the cover looks like. It's an ebook. It's a PDF. Can be read on a Kindle, iPad, all that sort of stuff. It's only $16.95 US. So good. Recipes that it contains: quick mozzarella, whole milk ricotta, whey ricotta, yogurt cheese, cream cheese. Anyway, there's lots there, right? Is all I'm saying. Plus, it has all of the stuff on how to prepare your gear, how to sanitize, the best type of milk to use, all that sort of stuff. Go and check out Keep Calm and Make Cheese. There you go. I plug my own book as well as Lisa's. So there, go and check them out. They're great. Okay, and those who have bought the spiral bound version swear by it, apparently. I think Persnickety likes it, Anthony likes it. They both got a copy over there in the US. I've shipped that to them, and you can pick those up at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Okay. David, thank you for becoming a member. That's really cool. Really appreciate that as well. And you'll get early access to cheese making videos behind the scenes and all that sort of good stuff. Persnickety says, Gavin's books are swell. They lay flat. They lay flat, which is important. You don't break the binding, indeed. So they're spiral bound, yeah, I print them and make them myself in my little workshop, little green workshops. Cool. Ciel, hello Ciel, lovely to see you. Hello and goodbye everybody. I miss my curd nerd community, but life and travel has gotten in the way recently. Hope to be cooking curds once the autumn weather finally cooks in. Indeed, I'm kind of the same. It's 37 degrees here today, Celsius that is, which is nearly 100 in the old scale. or the new one, depends on which country you're in. But yeah, yesterday was 38, today's going to be 37, Monday's going to be 37, so having a little mini heat wave going down here, so I'm not in the kitchen certainly this weekend, hopefully next weekend, but I hear you, when the autumn weather kicks in, it's supposed to be autumn now, but yeah, not happening. But welcome back, Seal, and hopefully you can catch the next one and make more cheese. Lovely to see you. Next question is from... Oh, it's some advice. Here we are. Epsilon said... Mayor McCheese said, Epsilon, pick a cheese and start. And then pick another one. Ain't nothing to do it, but to do it. I like that. Gavin makes it so easy to follow his video. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. Yes. Yeah, grab a video. Grab one that takes your fancy. Grab the ingredients and just give it a go. Okay. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to finish the show. It's 9 o'clock. I've got to go water my veggie patch before it all dies. Thank you so much to everybody. If you want to pick up my course, beginner's course, and there's a blue cheese course, go to courses.littlegreenworkshops.com.au. That's also the place where you can buy the ebook versions of my 2 books. Consulting time as well. Some people have used consulting. You can book all that and buy all that over at courses.littlegreenworkshops.com.au. If you want to buy the cheese making supplies, you can go to www.littlegreenworkshops.com.au. And we have, the store is fully stocked at the moment, so get into it, smash the like button, all that sort of stuff. And thank you so much. I will see you the same time, same channel, yeah, so be back here next week, and I'll see you for another episode of Ask the Cheeseman. See you later, curd nerds. Have a great and cheesy weekend. Stay fresh cheese bags. Bye-bye.